Hello, I'm Executive Chef Joseph Schulze. Welcome to our kitchen. Today I'd like to share with you my favorite recipe and technique for making house smoked salmon. So join me now as I show you how I prepare. Well, before we begin, there's a couple fun facts and some information I'd like to put out there regarding smoked salmon. There are several ways to make smoked salmon. You could cold smoke it, you could hot smoke it, and when you cold smoke it, you always start with a cure. Now it could either be a dry cure or you could do it in a brine. That choice is up to you. Me, I prefer to do a dry rub and then put a weight on it and press it down and cure it for 24 hours and then go to the cold smoke. Now, hot smoking is not my favorite thing simply because you're cooking the product and you're smoking at the same time. The downside to me is I don't think that it really develops that much smoke flavor because the product itself, for instance salmon, is going to be cooked in 12 to 15 minutes anyway. So how much smoke could you really develop? Whereas if we cure it and cold smoke it, I could do the smoking process for 4 hours, 8 hours, up to 12, 16 hours. That's my call. So with that being said, let's dive right in. To begin, we will make our dry cure. I will begin with 1.5 cups of Turbinado Sugar and 3 cups of Kosher Salt. My recommended ratio is 2 to 1 salt to sugar. If you want it a little sweeter, then increase the amount of sugar, but do not decrease the amount of salt. I then would like to add some seasonings. I will add 1 tablespoon of Fennel pollen, 1 tablespoon of ground black pepper. I will add 2 tablespoons of dry dill, 2 tablespoons of granulated garlic, and 2 tablespoons of granulated lemon peel. Let's go ahead and mix this through. Now we got that mixed. Let's go ahead and take some and place about 1/2 inch or so on the bottom of a pan. I am using a 2-inch hotel pan. Feel free to use a plate if you have something with the high edges. That way any liquid that comes off will not leak all over the place. I then put my salmon flesh side down. And then go ahead and begin covering the salmon. Be sure to get the salt touching all sides of the salmon. Now that we have that covered, I like to take a piece of plastic wrap, lay that over, and I will take another pan and place it on top of that and fill it with some cans, and this will help press it down and weight it down. And we will now put this to the refrigerator for 24 hours. Well, here we are after 24 hours of curing. We'll take our weights off and take a look at our salmon. You already see the color changing, and it should feel much drier and firmer. So at this point, we want to rinse this under cold water for about 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Make certain that we get as much salt away as possible. After that, we will pat it dry with some towels and place it onto a wire rack on a plate, and then put it to the refrigerator to air dry anywhere from 4 hours to 24 hours. Well, here they are after being thoroughly rinsed. We now want to air dry them on a rack in the refrigerator, at least 4 hours. What we're doing here is we're developing what's called the pellicle. And the pellicle is a coating of proteins that cover the surface of meat, poultry, fish, And what happens is it helps develop better smoke flavor, and the smoke will attach itself to the protein much better, and developing better flavor and a nicer color, a smoky color. Also, pellicle actually can develop on the surface of a liquid culture, and you know this better as being called SCOBY. So off to the refrigerator and then to the smoker. Here you are with our salmon already cured and dried, and on our rack. We're gonna put it to the smoker, and I already have my smoke tube been burning for about 10-12 minutes now. Go ahead and extinguish that, and let's go ahead into the smoke box, close her up, and we're gonna go with this for probably about 2 to 3 hours. I will check it then just to see if it has enough smoke color for me. Well, here we are after about 2 hours of smoke. We have lovely color on it. At this point, I want to transfer this to a wire rack and a plate or sheet pan and put it in the refrigerator for at least an hour or so to make certain that it cools down below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and then put it to a container and let it chill overnight or at least 6 more hours. Well, there you have my preferred method and procedure for making house smoked salmon. I enjoy doing the Gravlax style, as I like to call it, for the cure rather than a brine, just because of the texture I prefer. The brine, I feel, is a little more soggy and wet, but nothing wrong with it. It's just your personal preference on which texture you prefer. It is a little bit of a process, but if you were to think about what the amount of money you spend on this is at retail versus making it on your own, definitely saves you a lot of money. And there's so many wonderful things you can do with this. You know, slice it, have it on Eggs Benedict, do pasta dishes with it, with a smoked salmon and tarragon cream. You know, it's endless. And because of the procedure I'm doing by making the Gravlax first, I can eat it from there. I don't even have to go to the smoking process. You know, that's a whole nother level. Well, I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope you learned something about how to smoke salmon. If you're liking the content and the videos we're putting out, the information, please subscribe. Be up to date with all of our latest videos coming out every week. Thank you very much for joining us. Do it,